I think you guys have been through most of the conversations. You've heard the conversations, so the stage is already set. Prateek ji, what I really want to understand is, with your experience, when we're talking of HR tech in today's world, we start assuming that टेक्नोलॉजी अभी आई है, अभी इनोवेशन शुरू हुई है, सब कुछ अभी हो रहा है, जस्ट बिकॉज एवरीबडी इज टॉकिंग ऑफ AI. But it is not that where we have reached today, कोई डेवलपमेंट नहीं हुई है. Even today, I mean, the fact that we are using technology, we have evolved over the last few decades to be able to use technology in our functions. In your experience, how has technology played a role to evolve HR as a function today? In the last few decades, कहीं ना कहीं कोई ना कोई technology like a computer even coming in, making things easier for us to search. How has tech evolved HR as a function?
Thank you for a lovely question. If you start the journey from do punch ek lunch, we have grown to a level of co-pilot. दो पंच एक लंच से co-pilot की जर्नी है. Now, when I say co-pilot, I mean today I sit in a meeting where I play a role in taking decisions for the business. And I recall when I started my career from a manufacturing setup, and in that setup, when an operator or a worker used to come to my cabin, he has to put off his shoes. So I started my career there. And when I was used to operate on my computer, I still remember 2 or 3 people used to come and say, "Kya kar rahe ho?" That was the style. And today, if my laptop is not high tech, people tend to say, "Yaar, ye tech savvy nahi hai," or tend to say कि मैं साहब की age का हूँ. I'm pretty young, so that's the change in scenario. Now, when it comes as an individual. Now, if you walk the path as an HR, remember when we started our career, we were basically responsible for majorly compliance और दो पंच. That is, आदमी अंदर आया, बाहर गया, खाना खिलाया और compliance किया. आज हम क्या करते हैं सर? आज हम ये करते हैं कि आज से 2 साल बाद मुझे अफ्रीका मार्केट को इन्वेट करना है, क्या मेरे पास टैलेंट अवेलेबल है? मेरे बिजनेस को आप मत जाओ वहां. I can't afford to give you talent. Now, how this has changed? This has changed because today my decisions are not based here, they are based here. I have data to talk about it. And now why data? Because of all these modernization, all these things which has come up. So I say a journey from do punch ek lunch to co-pilot is the HR revolution.
What a beautiful way to explain that, sir. Maza aa gaya. Praveen ji, I mean, when we are talking of hiring and, the role of HR, how it has evolved, and what you're also talking of is predictive analysis, There was a time when I started my career, everybody used to say that technology is an enabler. It is limited by whatever you can imagine, And today, I feel, after at least listening to the sessions that I've been listening to and then moderating the last session, I realize that HR is the enabler. जो आप करना चाहते हो वो कर सकते हो, नहीं कर सकते हम बताएंगे, and the leadership actually comes to them that, listen, this is what I want to do. Build a team that can make this happen. Rather than saying कि हम कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते, मेरे को ये करना है, कैसे करना है, figure it out. Build a team. So, Praveen ji, we have to work, every business, every function is dependent on business dynamics. Every function is also, and business is dependent on the economic dynamics of the economy of the region that you're operating in. How is technology today enabling you to create that predictive analysis for the business leaders who are taking decision on important aspects of the future of the business?
Thank you, Harbinder ji. I think very interesting question, and so much to talk about it. Maybe I can take enough of time in terms of tell you how digital, how technology is helping us. And I represent a company which is one of the largest conglomerate in the country, and $30 billion organization with a vision of moving to a kind of $100 billion company in the earliest time possible. And I will tell you why this question is so close to my heart. And I operate in about 70 to 80 locations globally and 100,000 people. The reason why I'm giving you all these statistics, I think it's very important for us to appreciate why digital and technology is so important for us. You cannot do away with it. Whether you like it or not, आप चाहो या मत चाहो, आपको डिजिटल और टेक्नोलॉजी की हेल्प लेनी ही पड़ेगी, अदरवाइज यू कैनॉट सर्वाइव इन टर्म्स ऑफ द डायनामिक व्हाट यू आर टॉकिंग अबाउट. So beautifully, Prateek ji was talking about how we have evolved over a period of time. Can you believe? And I have seen for last 2 decades, HR में हम क्या करते थे? Not HR, in fact, personal and P&A, personal and administration. जो एक जमाने में बोलते थे P&A पंगा एंड अडंगा डिपार्टमेंट, वो काम करते थे. HR का काम नहीं होता था. That's the way. And today, I can tell you, and I get very emotional also when I talk about this. Today, my entire business, and when I have a team of 500 HR folks who works with me, we all are driving and striving towards a single objective. How can we make our organization fully digital? हमारे chairman Mr. Anil Agarwal, his vision for all of us is, जो past में हो गया है, how can we try to bring those legacy into a kind of digital as much as possible? Number one, we don't want to do anything. हम कहीं पर भी, this is not only limited to the HR function. HR function is very, it's a very pivotal, it's most important function of the organization. And I can tell you for the reason that in Vedanta, nothing happens unless and until HR kind of gives steps to it. And that's what the pride and the motivation, all the 500 professionals who work in my team, that's the motivation we have. You name anything, and you so beautifully said that, creating a team. The way we are expanding, when we want to take our business from $30 billion to $100 billion, can you believe the role of HR? मैं बता रहा हूँ, opportunity की कमी ही नहीं है, इतनी opportunity है. And the role of digital becomes so predominant, so important. I have a budget of 100 crore, and I'm taking this number for the reason, the management, the leadership team, they are so open that you have a budget of 100 crore. How do you want to drive this organization which is not for today or tomorrow? We want to live for next 500 years. And for that to happen, you will have to start thinking in terms of how can we ensure we provide best of the experience not only to our people, which is most important, but हमको ऐसा करना है कि हमारे जो processes, हमारे जो systems, वो हमको अगले 500 साल तक आगे बढ़ाए. And my only advice, which I keep telling to the companies, whether it is in a small way or whichever way, in whichever capacity you are, you will have to embrace digital technology at the earliest time possible. Predictive analytics, I can tell you, I have in-house team. I hire 2,000 people from campus. हर साल 2,000 लोगों को मैं campus से लेता हूँ, and they are the best of the mind. Prateek ji, अभय साहब यहाँ पे है. They are IITs, they are IIMs. They create in-house solution for me. And today, can you believe, I can tell you with example, and of course it will take a lot of time, it's an offline discussion, but today, majority of things, the predictive analytics I get on my table is through the algorithm created by my team. Today, based on those matrices, I am able to think of the succession planning. I am able to think of the attrition, retention, what we continue to speak. That's the way I think we are moving towards, and I am saying, still it's a tip of the iceberg. Lot to be done. Very recently, I have started working on AI. Can you believe of the initiative that is being run? Cannot get into detail, but totally digital driven. 13,000 people participated. 13,000 people in a kind of assessment from the organization, totally AI driven. आदमी की intervention ही नहीं है. No manual intervention. Everything is system based. People sitting in a different corner of the world, they are using the digital and AI to participate in the series of processes to come out as a kind of high potential. So I think that's the kind of era we are living, and हम अगर उसको embrace करेंगे बहुत benefit मिलेगा. And don't hesitate in terms of taking help of the experts. कभी-कभी and that's the reason I love when I meet a lot of business partners. And today I think we are very lucky. It was not there earlier. Today you have best of the partners firms, they are available to provide you solution. आपको expert होने की ज़रूरत नहीं है, not necessary. You just need to have that vision. You need to have that thinking. And there are people available who can provide you the best of the solution. But are you ready? Are you prepared? Do you have that thinking to take that on your stride and think of the business to, to be taken into next level? So I can keep talking about it, but this is the time for all of us. I think we should enjoy and make maximum out of this. Thank you.
प्रवीण जी, one thing which I loved it, कल तक शायद हमारे प्रॉब्लम हुआ करती थी सोल्यूशन ढूंढना. आज हमारी प्रॉब्लम है क्वेश्चन सही पूछना. The problem has changed because solution is available. Just Google it, you'll get it. What he said was the best. For now, the problem is ask right questions so that you get a right answer.
Correct. And एक और चीज़ इससे पहले कि कोई और बोले, I mean anybody who's looking at selling something to the CHROs is a man who said he's got 100 crore budget. So he can't come and tell you कि मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है, budget नहीं है.
प्रवीण साहब कॉफी पीने चलें क्या?
सब मेरा मुझे कोई माइक
आप
please carry on.
So, Abhay ji, you represent a manufacturing setup, and hiring for a manufacturing, most of these companies, of course, your company is an ancillary to an automobile industry, but when you're hiring for a manufacturing setup, a lot of these hiring happens from people who are working in factories which may not be in the main cities, right? Have you started using VR or AR to start interviewing people who are living and are available in remote locations and being able to attract talent for your factories?
So, I think the adoption of technology in interviewing candidate has taken a very different shape post-COVID. And today, luckily, many tools and technologies are available readily in the market, which you just have to adopt, and you can have a real-time virtual experience when you are interviewing the candidates. I don't know how many of you may have seen the early days of Reliance Telecom when we used to go to the one video interview conferencing rooms and we used to interview candidates, and I remember like we have done many of such interviews as an interviewer also, and have appeared as a candidate also. And you're right from first phase of interview to rolling off the offer. I think that entire process of hiring people is happening virtually through your all AR and VR technologies available, and it's a real-time experience which you get in there. Until and unless you have to really see the physical condition of a candidate, you may call him. Otherwise, it has not. So in manufacturing, sometimes it so happen, like if I have to hire a security head, I would like to see him personally, that is he intact and can do that job or not. So only few roles where we feel that yes. Otherwise, even I have hardly seen physically the candidates post-COVID, and luckily I was working in a new age IT setup in Amazon. So even Amazon, we used to do it, most of the interviews virtually, even before COVID also. So I think people, those who have hitch or those who feel that no, candidate must come physically, I think that is not the case nowadays.
Great, sir. I'm just looking at, I was just imagining when you were talking, which is why I was distracted, because I was distracted by my own imagination, trying to figure out when the orientation happens. And I'm thinking aloud as I speak, it may make sense, it may not make sense. But I'm just imagining that when you're orienting somebody who's sitting in your corporate office to the factory environment, I mean, if the real estate industry can actually create virtual reality of you walk through the apartment, why can't we take them as a walkthrough to the factory to give them a feel of what your employees for whom you create strategies may be going through?
So my induction is like that only.
Oh,
My entire induction is walk through to my office, to my cabin, to my factory, to everywhere. Even they can feel the product. So we have done everything totally AI driven and totally on that way.
Awesome. I'll come to you in a while because I want to set the stage for the question that I have for you. Prateek ji, when we are hiring people, one of the issues that I usually get confused about is when I'm looking at interviewing somebody, I use psychometric tests or AI-based softwares to ensure that the objective चीजें हैं, they do not get left out based on my own bias about the person which is coming out as a part of the conversation. Versus being stuck with the only objectives but ignoring the subjective part of it, like attitude, like the perception that you are able to create when you meet the person in the first go. How has AI-based softwares or HR recruitment technologies helped you in making the right hire for the right position, ensuring that you have lowered the mistakes of wrongful hiring?
Okay, let me answer it in a different way. I'll wear my hat of clinical psychologist. Coincidentally, I did that. So let me wear that. Let's understand what are the three biggest and most important elements in a human being to perform a duty. Very simple. First and foremost is humanness. Second is intellect. And third is courage. Why I say this? Humanness means his behavior, his attitude, blah, blah, blah. Intellect means whether he can understand it or not. And courage, can he take the decision? Now, these are the basic three elements on which I personally believe 90% of your workforce will stand upon. To measure humanness, you need to have a feel. You need to touch him and say, "Yeah, I'm here." That's nothing in this world can replace. And that's the reason I say, any tool you bring, you can't replace HR. Because HR means human relations. I also say HR means hum hai. That's what HR is. So that will not. Now when you go and eliminate biasness, how you can eliminate? The way he takes a decision. Is his consciousness allowing him to take the decision which is appropriate for the organization? There you need the help of psychometric. Then you go into the part of his intellect. Again, whether he has a wisdom to understand what your business is all about, again goes into a third part is when you have a data-driven decision, when you have a psychometric is nothing but a data-driven thing. The way a person thinks, it's algorithm which comes out, 90%. So if you have all these things, you are more accurate to understand a person better. And sir, मेरा व्यक्तिगत मानना है 99.99% लोग बहुत अच्छे होते हैं. 99.99%. वो मुझे देखना है कि क्या इस कुर्सी पे साहब को बैठाऊंगा तो ठीक है कि नहीं. He is very good. He is Aflatun. So it is my problem. Now my problem, so when I take decision basis my kursi and marry it with his skill set, I'll be always accurate. That's my belief system.
So 99.9% people are good, but we have to figure out if he's good for the role that I want and for my organization. Sunny, you're the only one who's on the other side of the table. Everybody is using technology to serve a particular function in the organization. You are the one who's enabling the CHROs do this.
Sure.
हम क्या करेंगे, क्या होगा, वो तो एक अलग बात है. But in your experience, when anyone is investing in HR tech, they are looking at some kind of an ROI. What is it that has made a difference to the companies that you have served with your technology, which is measurable and can be said that, listen, we have seen this as an outcome, there has been a positive impact, and this is how it is measurable?
Sure. Prima facie at the outcome, I've always come with the belief, and in fact the three leaders here have actually just enforced that belief. I feel HR is the endorser, the advocate, and eventually the enabler, but also accountable for technology. So while the leadership, the chair, the board will always have HR uh, set on technology-driven projects and build teams, to the example you quoted, if the outcomes are not favorable, then again HR is made accountable also. In our journeys of transformation projects, while it will be fairly self-prophesizing to quote the outcomes, but across manufacturing, across BFSI or IT services, what is always heartening is that the team's effort being optimized, be it elimination of certain rounds from a recruitment standpoint, to making sure that if there is a performance driven process, can you help technology use predictive analysis to make sure that there is no human intervention that's involved there. And in fact, one of the things that leaders always tell us is, I would want, because I come from the lens of recruitment, I would always want our stakeholders, my recruiters, to do the real job of having conversations. To your point, sir, about essentially bringing the hum hai aspect, your incumbent candidate who will eventually be your employee is largely your biggest endorser outside in the world. So if you are going to have the folks who are enabling these people to come in, just be doing record keeping, just be having to feed systems inputs into the system so that there is some kind of audit being maintained, I think there is a long way to go for technology to be enabled. But yeah, to answer your question, we feel impact from an optimization of time to impact from, let's say, optimization of cost, because that's everybody's mandate. We've kind of come across a long way, and numbers are of course north of 10-15% across these pieces year on year.
Praveenji, in my earlier discussion in a fireside chat with Priyanka ji of Ericsson, there was a piece of conversation around employee experiences. Today, one of the things that AI has brought in, and I know it for a fact that it is important for the healthcare industry, but the more I research on it, I realize that it is impacting every industry, is the power of personalization, right? And what Priyanka ji was saying, that we are able to today personalize the relationship with each employee with the organization. It's a win-win situation for each employee. How, in your experience, have you been able to create employee experiences to keep them engaged? Because हम जब भी HR की बात करते थे तो employee engagement also emerges as a metric. So how is AI helping you personalize to create employee engagement so that you're not just able to attract great talent, but you're able to retain them for a longer period of time?
Again, very interesting. And I think each of the company, they have their own way of, engaging with their people. And I think no harm in terms of, taking help of the technology for having a kind of engagement with your people when they are located in a kind of multiple locations. Even in our organization, what we have seen is, while of course personalization happens in a kind of certain way, but then when you have to connect with 100,000 people across organization, we have seen there are many of the in-house tools we have in the system that help us in kind of connecting the people very seamlessly. But then there are many other engagement opportunities in terms of the town hall, in terms of the many events that we organize. And I think it's not only having with employee, but going beyond that, I think we have many occasions where we also engage with our business partner. And as we speak, we are also thinking of in terms of what kind of technology or a kind of tool we can deploy that can have a kind of robustness in the system in terms of connecting with the people. But I think all the panels, they have very rightly said that there are ways of engaging with people. There are ways how you bring kind of innovation in the system. And I think we have done, we have decently done a kind of good job in terms of ensuring that we are connected with our people, we are connected with the family of the people, and I think we have done all of us have done seamless job when we saw COVID, coming and disturbing all of us. We not only, connected with the employees, but I think we went beyond that in terms of ensuring we touch families, we touch our business partners, so on and so forth. But I will tell you, through AI, through digital tools, we have been able to experience, we have been able to provide best of the, experience to our people in terms of the business solution, in terms of the, the domain expertise. But yes, wherever needed, I think we have also seen a kind of personal touch happening seamlessly. But it all starts also from the top. I think what's the leadership tone you have, that's very, very important. आपके culture में है क्या? वो बहुत ज़रूरी है. Otherwise, the way people keep talking about the business numbers, the profitability, the kind of dynamics, the challenges we have, I think it also a kind of culture what you want to create in the organization where there is a leadership who believe in terms of engaging with the people, who want to give them a kind of flexibility, who want to move forward and provide a kind of care for the people. वो ऊपर से आता है, वो कल्चर से आता है, वो लीडरशिप से आता है. बाकी challenges तो चलती रहती है, and there are lot of tools, the way I said at the beginning, there are tools, there are digital model technology available which can help you in terms of connecting all the dots across the geographies. But do you have that intent? Intent है क्या? हमको वो करना है क्या? What is your thinking? Or you want to continue to talk about cost? Or do you want to continue to talk about optimization? Or you want to continue to talk about growth only in terms of the profitability? Or is there a kind of agenda in your leadership vision where you want to think of something on the software area in the terms of engagement, in terms of supporting your people or your business partners, so on and so forth? I think that's very, very important to my mind.
I'll just take 30 seconds. You asked a question and I have an answer for it. In my organization, when an employee joins, I send a small gift to the wife or the spouse of the family. Till yesterday, I have to write a letter and all those things. Then I change it and I made a video. Now, basis my AI, believe you me, I make a personalized video. So when my coffee mug goes to a wife, when Prateek Dubey is saying, "Hey, Sujata, I welcome you," and the way she feels, wow, trust me, nothing can beat it. I'll give you one example. This same hotel, I was here for a dinner with my family, and small kiddo came to me running, "You're Prateek Dubey." I said, "Yeah, I thought I'm famous now." But suddenly she said, "I'm daughter of so-and-so. I saw you in Mama's video. When you took my name, I felt good. I want to give you a jappi." And that day I said, I have done my HR.
सर मेरे दिमाग में एक चीज़ आई है, AI से गलती भी होती है. तो कभी
सर
ऐसा हुआ
आपकी
है
वाइफ का नाम मुझे याद रहे
कि किसी की वाइफ का आपने मैसेज भेजा और पता चला कि you've taken the wrong name.
Sir, I work for pharma industry and we have got good painkillers. We ensure that people don't suffer pain.
I'd like to make a recommendation though on the employee experience bit as well. And this is largely for organizations who can perhaps leverage that as well. Sir, to your point, we do this on the point of offer for organizations. So when you're looking at grassroots, tier 4, tier 5 employees plant, maybe have a leader, just call out their name on the offer experience and kind of replicate.
Sunny, शायद आप भूल गए, IDFC first में we work together.
100%, sir. I very much remember.
I know what you have done for me.
No, I'm not trying to pitch, but essentially referrals is also a very leading indicator of culture.
Absolutely.
Employee referrals. And what we've seen is from an experience lens, because we learned it from our customers, a slight bit of tweak from the lens of, instead of money, giving out some kind of experience. A dinner at a 5-star for someone who's otherwise going to get a 10,000 rupee cash reward can go a long way from a recall and a retention perspective also. Or maybe a mobile phone instead of whatever money you are giving. And that kind of experience also helps with the stickiness of the employee.
Absolutely. I think it's a very good point, because it is not just about building efficiency. I think if a technology can recommend you what you could do basis the profile of that person, it could just help the HR make things better and more personalized. Prateek ji, I want to come to you about something which is very important. You're from the pharma industry, So healthcare industry, pharma industry, there's something called patient centricity. And you are in a function where there is something called people centricity. we have been using technology to go track our sales employees कि वो कहाँ गया है, कैसे गया है, कितने बजे उसने रिपोर्ट किया था, सब कुछ हम as a monitor we are looking at that particular data. Your industry is the one where you have medical reps going and meeting doctors, and you, because of diversity and inclusion, are hiring different sets of people for this particular role. I come from a family of doctors. I'm in healthcare, and I see more women taking on this role. And I've also seen, because of my understanding of healthcare, that the person has to wait outside for 2 hours waiting for the doctor for that 3-minute conversation, right? How are you using technology, or how do you intend to use technology to look at two aspects of your people when they're on the field? One is the well-being of the employees, because धूप में भी जा रहे हैं, बारिश में भी जा रहे हैं, women हैं, they have their phases that they need to go through. Second is the security of your employees, because they are, the OPD ends at 8:30, 9, and 9 o'clock is when they're meeting the doctor. So how do you intend to use technology to address these two aspects?
First of all, I believe there's no differentiation between men and women. We should treat them equal and one. First point. Second point, when my people are on road, there are 3 things which I expect from them. First is their well-being. I repeat, their well-being. Second is they are carrying a mankind badge on the shoulder. They can't do anything which is not logical, ethical, or socially correct. They can't do it. That's second. Third is talk science. I don't want to sell a medicine basis a gift item or basis anything. I want to sell a medicine if my medicine has that capacity, that quality which can reduce the pain or suffering of a person. Sir, mankind started, unlike other companies, from small town. Our first is serving life motto. Second is we want to give a quality medicine at affordable price. That's what we stand for. Now, if that is the attitude, what was my first point? Are you fine? When my data, my things come to me, what is first thing which I check is, has the person reached home safely? That is the first point. I never check doctor के पास कितने बजे गया या OPD में कितने बजे बैठा, वो घर कितने बजे पहुंचा. And if that data comes to me that this guy is continuously getting late, trust me, I will personally call that guy. Hey, what's the issue? Do you need any help? This is technology driven. Then you do every HR people, every one of us do top 10 review, bottom 10 review. When I do bottom 10 review, I don't check numbers. I understand from the data where and what is the suffering of this guy and how can I help him. Because if I want to help the patient to get rid of the pain, first I have to ensure my people are going home with a smile. First day when I joined Mankind, someone asked me, Prateek, what is your motto? What do you want to do? I said only one thing. From my MD to the pantry boy who brought the coffee for me should go home with a smile. That's the simplest thing to do in HR. If you can do this, entire world is done. And I do it through AI driven.
Fantastic. I mean, that answer actually demonstrates the ethos with which the HR as a function works. Thank you so much for bringing this out. Abhay, when we use technology as an underlying enabler and enabler to build efficiency for HR, and at the bare minimum level, most organizations have started using technology for at least the recruitment process. And many of these companies are using technology for the recruitment process right from the time of putting in a requisition for a position that is there to identifying the target set, receiving the application process until the final decision has been made. There's a flow of information and data which is going from one level to another within the organization to different sets of people. How do you ensure data privacy, and how important is data privacy to you when you go and choose a partner who's going to enable your technology for this hiring process?
So over a period of time, I think system is pretty evolved now, and right from raising the requisition. So it is basically when you manage it through the digitized platform, you manage is role based. Now every role is defined where who has the access to what, who has access to the manpower requisition, who has access to the interview feedback, who has access to the offer letter, and all this kind of things. And second, the technology, again, when you are using SaaS platforms, when you are using cloud, when you are using a lot of encryptions, I think, and through different cyber security mechanisms, we are ensuring that information is number one, posted on a very, very safe environment. At times when I have finalized the digitization partners, we made sure that we are visiting their facilities, where are they storing the data, where their people are working. When the people are working on the back end, like payroll management, okay, what kind of access other people are having. We are outsourcing, like I'm just jumping from recruitment to payroll for a more critical information, like, yeah. So then your lot of sensitive data is lying on the third party platforms and they are having full access to it. So you have to also ensure that it is being maintained in a very confidential manner. So similarly, in recruitment process, right from which candidate is referred by whom, which candidate you are sourcing, what position, sometimes we are also recruiting for the confidential positions. So how do you ensure that that entire track is managed? I think digitization is something which is, otherwise we have started our career in the days when we used to use different colors of envelopes just to ensure that which color is going to what. So that is, we define the roles of the people through the colors of envelopes to maintain the confidentiality.
Sir, have you ever come across a situation where you want to invest in technology, the features that you want come at a cost, and there is a pushback from the leadership where says that, boss, इसमें पैसा खर्चना अभी मत लगाओ. And what is your response to anyone who thinks that way for investing in technology to manage people, which may not have a direct financial ROI that is visible beyond the team?
So it again depends that when you are moving for this kind of transformation, how you are preparing the business case and how you are able to present the business case in terms of ROI, that what you are investing and what return you are getting, tangible and intangible both. Okay. Now, for a mid-size auto component manufacturer, I can't suggest something which Praveen ji can suggest for his employee, his organization. Okay. So what is the use? What is the ROI? What is the business case? I think that is something which we need to practice and do that. So I'll give you an example. So I don't know how many of you have seen the expenses management tools. Okay. Now expenses management tool is again a very critical process to control your expenses in the organization and monitor the expenses. Now if you, and largely it is used more beneficial for if you are a large sales driven organization where people are traveling a lot and using multiple kind of expenses in their travel and all. So now if I implement the same tool to a hardcore manufacturing organization where people are not moving, and that to a B2B, so I may not be able to justify the ROI, that how much I am investing and how many people are using and how many expenses I am controlling. So that depends how you prepare the business case and how you can sell it through the management.
I love it when HR folks are talking of preparing a business case. I love that. Sunny, let me come to you because, that's the perspective of the CHROs. What do you think any HR professional should be focusing on when they choose who to bring on as a partner for HR technology? Because, one thing I know for sure, that for any organization, I'm consciously using the word partner than a vendor, because today the relationships, especially when it comes to technology, is a long-lasting relationship. You can't try it and then go, because of all the reasons that we've been talking of, data, privacy, etc. If you bring on board somebody who's not the right partner for you, it's detrimental to much larger aspect. So what, in your experience, should be the things that an HR professional or even a finance professional in the customer side should be focusing on when they choose who to partner with?
First up, I think HR has the most front facing with the management, with the leadership in the organization, the ones who hold the budgets. So the first parameter to go out there and look for something which is transformational, because it is long term, is always to see the appetite of the organization as well. Right? Something that we do, there are 5,000 other products in the country which are doing that. Right? The journey from digitization or manual to digitization to improvement to performance, that is the journey that HR as an organization needs to decide on and then transcend. Very specifically, I always also recommend you should choose partners which can marry your scale and can marry the industry that you are working in. To the point that sir mentioned, right? An automotive requirement is going to be very different from a heavy industry requirement, right? You look for partners who've, of course, serviced in your industry. That also, of course, bring to the point whether there is a compliance-friendly product only, which we know there are, of course, these global products which supports different facets of HR, global in nature, not very friendly to the Indian volume way of doing things, but will have compliance. Right? More often than not, we also come across leaders who would rather sometimes take risk and perhaps fail with a global product than try their hands with an innovative, robust, new, impactful product as well. So scale, industry lens, and of course the appetite of the organization are the three parameters that should be the benchmark.
Sir, sorry.
You want to say?
I'm not so smart like him. Simple answer. Partner ka matlab hota part in earning. The person who can support in your earning is the partner.
Which is where ROI comes into the picture.
Whatever you call, ROI is not always in money. Let's be clear. We are HR people. I respect money 100%. Because of money we exist. But if anything which is getting partnering or which is supporting your earnings, just go ahead and do it. Don't waste your time, because now, again, it's time of today, not today. In fact, now. Your time starts now. It's like that.
Sir, the robustness comes to the only way we fight, or where we fight the most, is status quo. Right? When leaders would want to change but cannot because of their current ecosystems. So the impact answer that you gave is very meritorious. Yes.
I think it's very important. What I hear is that HR ka role is not just to align everybody else to the leaders, but sometimes also be a coach to a leader, to be able to help them lead better and create future organizations. Time's up, but I'll live up to my reputation of taking 2 minutes more. And this is something that emerged, this question actually emerged when I was listening to one another panel before lunch, and where I remember Lipika Verma of Schneider, she brought out she said that skills is the new currency in HR, Now, we all date back to the time when the first thing that we would see on a resume in terms of trying to match the person's candidature to the role that was available was the degree and his qualification for that, right? How has the HR's mindset changed over a period of time, and how can we use technology to move from degree-related matchmaking to skill-based matchmaking? Because it's very difficult to identify if the person is skilled in that particular job or not, because skill is something that you can understand from actually what we used to call it like on the job training, on job experience. So each one of you, just closing remarks on how you would think you could bring in this change to identify and find the right people based on skills? Start with you, sir.
Very interesting. I think this question should have come when we had enough of time to talk about, because skill is the new currency, data is the new currency, and I think the organization like us, which is very big in size, we believe the data can help you a lot. I think that's the new oil, that's the new machine. And before I just come to the skill, I wanted to talk about Abhay साहब, जो उन्होंने बोला कि investment in digital, and if you go to your management, is there a kind of, can you expect a, कि नहीं लेंगे हम proposal, कहीं नहीं होता है. I can tell you, at least the way I have seen, if you have value, if you can show that this is something which can help you in whichever way, tangible, intangible, in terms of the monetary, non-monetary, I think in today's context, I have seen leaders, I have seen management, in fact they are pushing you, the organization is pushing you to move toward the digital way. Are you ready? Are you prepared in terms of thinking towards that, asking right question and implementing those things in whichever domain you are? I can tell you, leave apart HR, when we sit in commercial and supply chain, can you believe we tell our people कि supply chain में अगर आपने 10% का भी dent कर दिया, that will have an impact of $2 billion in your P&L. $2 billion. So that's the kind of potential you have when you see in commercial, when you see in supply chain, and of course HR as well. So I think digital technology, needless to say, no proposal will get discarded provided the mindset is there. Partners, most important. I think end of the day we are sitting on the same side of table. It's not that आप सामने बैठे हो, मैं यहाँ पे बैठा हूँ and we are negotiating. No, the time of negotiation has gone. Believe me, today we are part of the same problem. We need the same kind of solution that can help business, that can take my business to the next level. And that's the reason I have 6,000 business partners in my company. 6,000 business partners. And we call them business partner. हमारे यहाँ पे vendor, supplier word ही use नहीं होता है Vedanta में. Coming back to this skill, it's a very deep subject. Believe me, today we end up hiring. I have hundreds of expats, specialists working in my company, and they come from about 50, 60 different nationalities. The point what I'm trying to make is, the reason you need to bring those expats and specialists in mining, smelting, refining, safety, so on, so forth, for the reason that you have dearth of talent and skill available in the country. आज की तारीख में एक जमाने में NPTI होती थी, अभी भी है, those power engineering colleges, the numbers have come down. Today, if you have to hire mining engineers, you don't have enough of the induction happening in the colleges in first go. The kind of requirement what you need. Today, I contribute 1.5% to the GDP of the country. Can you believe the number? And for that, I need amazing talent and skill. But there is a dearth. So I think there is enough potential. Skill is the only way that can take you forward. Whether you learn from expats, whether you learn from the kind of best of the partners who can provide you that facility, or on the job, or whichever way possible, taking experience from the senior. But skill is something most important for anybody for that matter. Sorry, I took some extra minutes. Please go ahead.
My 2 bits on skills, of course, there are tools which are dime a dozen available, which can give you all the predictive analysis. But to sir's point, look internally as well. IITians within your community will give you IITians. IIM grads will give you IIM grads. Diversity candidates will give you diversity candidates. So from a skill lens, you can always bank upon your existing workforce to go out there and grab more.
So alongside qualification, skill was always an important factor. And we have seen that while hiring people, we always look at that what kind of skills that person brings into the organization. While in the days to come, the more focus is moving toward skill, because the world is changing so rapidly that the kind of talent we look forward is not readily available. So while hiring people, I think apart from seeing that what skills that person bring in, more important is that what is the learnability that person has, what is the agility that person has, how the person takes the personal and professional transformation in his life. I think that is something that is more important skill than any other skill which we look into, because the skills are going to change. Today, whatever I will hire, after 5 years, I need a different skill set for that person.
सर सारा गेम दो ही चीज का है, स्किल और विल का, बाकी कुछ गेम नहीं है, और शुरू से यही है. आज की बात हम कर रहे हैं भाई, शुरू से यही है. नाउ देयर आर प्रीटी यंग पीपल आई कैन सी फ्रॉम हियर. आई टेल यू, डिग्री की जो वैल्यू है ना कमिंग टाइम में इज ओनली गुड इन योर मैरिज रिज्यूम, जो शादी के लिए बनेगा और आपके इन लॉज को पटाने के लिए रहेगा, बाकी किसी चीज में नहीं होगा. बिकॉज द HR ऑफ टुडे doesn't want to look on degree, and there's a data I can share it with you. 29% of HR people, or roles I should say, are degree centric. Remember, out of total only 29% are degree centric. Remaining roles are not degree centric. Only degree will be required. You should have your degree because शादी करना है तो degree चाहिए. That is the time which has come. Praveen sir? नहीं, you are handsome, so आपकी शादी में दिक्कत नहीं होगी, but for general people I'm saying. Okay. नहीं, I'm not talking about new one, I'm talking the old one. Okay, so that is one point. And second, the problem now is not only hiring the skill. Problem now is how you are nurturing and developing continuously the skill. Because what is required today will not be required even tomorrow. पहले हम 2 दिन बाद की बात करते थे, कल के लिए भी नहीं है. So you need to now invest time, you need to invest on technology, you need to invest on mechanism so that your workforce is always ready for the new dimension. And skill is the only currency which will work going forward. Skill और will का खेल है, going back on my first one.
Absolutely, I think it's very very important. आपने अभी जी ने at the end of the day, this is exactly what is emerging, that one thing that we are sure of is that we don't know what the future is going to be. So we are, the only thing certain is the uncertainty of tomorrow. We don't know what as a parent, I don't know what to prepare my son for, because most of the roles that we see today may not even exist tomorrow. The only skill that a person may have or should have is being receptive to unlearn, relearn, or upskill and reskill. That is what it is. And the second thing is, I think there's a learning for us as organizers, because from a non-HR person sitting here and driving this panel, I realize that there should be young business professionals to be sitting there and listening to, because I've always seen that fight that HR drives the business and salespeople say that, salespeople drive the business. At the end of the day, it is people who drive the business, right? Whether it's a salesperson, accountant, financial specialist, or a salesperson, which is bringing the business to life, That's a big learning. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. Thank you for being a great audience.